If you want to be a creator and you want to get in this space, like you need to be consistently like putting out content daily, every other day. I think that like people cannot expect to like want to be a creator or an influencer because like how are you influencing someone if you post like once a month sort of thing. So I think that that's always like my number one thing is like figure out your like niche that you want to post and like things that you actually like to do that you're going to be passionate about creating content around and like post consistently.
You're listening to the Radcast, a top 25 worldwide business podcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. I'm Ryan Alford, your host, and we want to say thank you for making us number one in business marketing on Apple and climbing the ranks elsewhere. So I saw we were like top 100 in the world at any genre. Courtney, could you believe that? Any genre?
That is amazing. That's so amazing. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. Courtney, Bagby, Loop Pillin.
Yeah, you said it right. You said it right, Ryan. Don't doubt yourself.
I'm just getting reinforcement of your name. You know, that's good for you, but I'm just like having to really like get my syllables in the right order there. Oh, I know you just got married, right? So carrying the names, a lot of people know you. CEO and founder of Little Red Management. I like that. I'm thinking like Little Red Book. Is there something like that? My Little Red Book or something?
I feel like you're thinking about the black book, the little black book or something.
I want it to be red though. I want it to be red.
It's more fun for sure.
What's Little Red Management?
Yeah, so Little Red Management is a management company where mostly I want to say reality stars, maybe some of your favorites and influencers in general work with me, and I'm sort of their talent manager. I am their talent manager and handle all of their brand partnerships. So I'm constantly working with brands and talent to figure out the right sort of brand partnerships that might make sense for them. There
you go. I know we're going to dive into all that. I love it. I think people understand that. In today's world, like 5 years ago, we'd have to spend, 2 hours explaining that. But I think in today's world, everybody sort of gets that, everyone can be an influencer, right?
I was going to say, and like, I don't think you can go on Instagram or TikTok these days and not see a sponsored ad in the first 3 minutes of scrolling. So
yes. So you started your career though at Oracle. I mean, that's heavy B2B, right? We're like, at least I think that. I know they have a consumer arm, I guess, smaller, but like, my mind goes B2B, and then we're talking influencers and celebrities and cool shit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, maybe you just wear both sides of the fence. Where you like this cool, like deep down, you're like scientific, but you're just cool.
Well, so it was funny because really like all of my internships in college were around like marketing and social media. And then when I saw this opportunity at Oracle, it was like internal communications. So I still did their internal newsletters, and I did it was so random, like their new college graduate program. I hosted events and like planned events there. So it was like very much still like a marketing cultural type role, but like for internal employees versus like a direct to consumer brand, which was like super random. But I like had applied to so many positions in LA, in the Bay Area, and it just sort of like made sense for me when I got this opportunity, especially going out of college. I was like, well, I guess I'll have to take a back burner on this influencer game and take a job that like really actually paid well, and I could kind of move home, save a little bit of money. And but I knew that like my long-term goal was to move to LA at some point. It was just when was the question.
I think it's good though, because, certainly the internet and today's world has opened up the opportunity for anyone to become an entrepreneur at any stage. Like, and I would never, I coach people all the time about doing those things, but like, so I'd never get in the way of it. But I do think going to work, especially for a big corporation, it teaches you a lot. You learn a lot about the way the world works and how brands and the companies like that size, the way they think about things, the way they're organized, the way information flows, and the dollars and cents of certain things, that I don't think it's a bad thing for people. I think it's usually more beneficial than not to experience that.
Well, and I would say, like, I 100% agree. Like, I think that most people think it has, like, nothing to do with what I do today, but, like, it has everything to do with just the fact of, like, I was all about writing emails all day and business communications and learning that. And I was, like, internal customer service for, like, our whole organization, you know, like, I did so much for the senior VP that went to the CEO, reported to the CEO of Oracle. Like, I had to do so many different things, like, for Oracle that taught me just day to day how to speak today. Like, I mean, you're just like how to have a conversation on email and how to make newsletters. And there's just like so much how to like be good customer service to brands that I work with and talent now, you know? So it's just like, it's so insane that I mean, no one even asks me about Oracle now. So I'm like flattered that you asked me about it.
No, I mean, it's not to me. And I think, you know, you nailed it. Like, and, you know, I run an ad. I mean, the Radcast has become a job in itself and one of my favorites. But I do run an ad agency, and we work equally like B2B and B2C. And we kind of, our whole moniker is it's B to H. It's business human. Like, we like to distinguish these things, but there's still humanity on both sides of it. And whether it's influencer marketing or newsletter marketing or email marketing, there's learnings to be had for how you communicate and how you're effective, and the emotional connection that
100%. Has
to be driven with communication and through processing information and doing these things. And so I think I see the direct correlation, and I think it's probably helped you have some of the success. I mean, what's the juicy stuff here, Courtney? I mean, like, you know, everybody, working with influencers. Like, give us a good story, or like, give us something juicy, like, or just somebody you're working with that's been fun.
I'm like, when I think of juicy, I think of like annoying things that happen.
Oh,
in
I just mean fun, not necessarily, you know, like who's the most dramatic person, you know, like not necessarily that, unless you want to go there.
No, literally, like, well, no, like, and I won't name names, but it's just so funny because I think like a lot of the campaigns that I do, I mean, I'll do campaigns with Nike and someone from The Bachelor, just to like give a little heads up into like the sort of brands that I work with, or I'm doing something with American Express right now and things like that. And it is very rewarding seeing all of the campaigns come to life and, you know, helping sort of navigate those and make them happen, right? Like pitching to American Express and then it actually happening is like so rewarding. But it's so funny because when I think of like, when you're like, tell me the tea, kind of like, I just think about how much like this whole morning, even when I was like, Ryan, we can reschedule if you want. It's like, I'm literally like babysitting some of my talent, like all the time, being like, hey, I need this by Sunday at 8 p.m. Like, that is the latest you can send it to me. Like, absolutely. Like, I would say half of the time, like, I cannot get things on time. And it's really frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's the crazy, like, just my sort of day to day is just like figuring out, you know, how to make these campaigns come to life, negotiating all day. And I don't know, I also get some fun behind the scenes of like who's dating in this reality TV world, or maybe, you know, get the pregnancy news, being the first one to do that, and working with like People and Us Weekly and stuff to sort of announce those fun life moments. But yeah, those are sort of like the day-to-day like fun stuff, and then like sort of the not so fun stuff. So,
you know, like, to go back to what I sort of said, most people know what it is. You know, I want to be like hyper specific for like our audience, like to try to understand. Because I do think, you know, for the average person that's not an influencer, that knows of these things. Obviously, they know the terms, they see them, and they know. I mean, even my wife and I joke. It's like I'll come home and there's 17 boxes on the front porch, and I go, "You got influenced." Like we literally use that term on one each other when we see something. We're like, that's not something you would have just bought on your own, but anyway, no,
my husband the other day goes, babe, what is this? And I was like, I told you I was buying things on TikTok the other day.
Yeah.
Cause he knows I would never come up with this like weird ring dish, like on Amazon.
Yeah. My wife's usually like combining like cleaners or doing something like that looks like a science experiment. I'm like, where the hell did you get this from? Like, who showed you this? What is this? Oh, me. But in a nutshell, influencers come to you or you go to them and you are negotiating brand deals. You're managing every part from, okay, here's the sponsors that would make sense for you, the companies that might, and then pitching both the brands on those opportunities and just trying to look out for the best interests of your client who you're representing.
Yeah, I think like there's two ways. So there's a lot of agencies that come to me, I would say like mostly influencer booking agencies sort of thing. Cause I'm sure, there's so many terms of agencies these days, right? But I do feel like those are the ones that specify in booking talent for social media campaigns. And they'll come to me and they're like, hey, Courtney, do you have anyone who has a Hyundai that lives in Los Angeles or New York on TikTok? And I can specify those, maybe even just one person that has a Hyundai, right? Like, do I really know if all my clients have a Hyundai or whoever has one, right? Like, and I'll pitch that one person and then they're sort of come back to me if they're interested in them, ask for pricing. We kind of go from there. And then the other side of things is like, okay, I see my client, and this is like a really fun example where like I'll see my client post like these glasses and she's asking her following, like, which one should I get from this company? From Zenny, let's just say, because that was the company name. And she posted on her story and it was totally organic. I literally like sent the screenshot to the brand and was like, hey, like my client would love to work with you. She just posted this like organically with her followers helping. And like next thing we know, we have a campaign for her to post in like the next month doing like a reel and whatever the deliverables are. And we're sort of talking money and all that happens. On the other side of things, there's like so much rejection, right, Ryan? Like I'll reach out, people ghost me, maybe not respond to me, not interested in my talent, right? Like you also have to find the right person. So I think that there's like a lot of that as well. But it's never like, I think that people just assume it's so easy, and it's like, even when I bring my clients an opportunity, Ryan, like I'm like the amount of time that I've already spent getting you this offer is a lot of time, like by the time I'm like going back and forth, trying to find these people, following up, like it's a lot of work. It's not just, oh, here's the offer and it just popped in my inbox. Like, no,
Oh yeah. I know because we do this at our agency. It's not our one and only specialty, but we do it enough. And my producer Cameron does it even for our own show. And I know she's sitting here like nodding, like, like it doesn't all just happen. And you're so the truth of finding the right person. Good grief. It's like, yeah, who is the right person? Well, I'm getting my notes out, Courtney.
That's the thing. Yeah, well, and it's hard. You don't know, like I always love those brands that are super transparent with me about like why they're not booking that talent, or why they're not interested. Maybe the numbers are too low, whatever, not on brand. Like there's so many things that can like be helpful, but it is so frustrating especially when you've seen so many ads for like Children's Place all over the internet and you can't find the damn person that does that books talent for Children's Place. And you're like, I know you're somewhere. Like, I know you would probably like one of my clients,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's sort of the like day to day of, okay, what do we do every day? And pitching, right?
Is there, can you name any names of influencers you work with? I mean, are there any name dropping that can be had? I mean, like, who are we talking about?
Do you watch any reality shows?
Are you kidding me? Of course I do.
Do you watch? Tell me some.
I mean, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like, I'll admit, the last 2 years has been we have been very busy. But I mean, I can tell you, my wife and I watched at least 8 or 9 seasons, whatever they might have been. Like, it used to be I say guilty pleasure. I don't really give a shit. I don't care what people think. But like, I say guilty pleasure because more of just the time that we spend doing it, going carving it out. But like, we used to watch that. I mean, look, I grew up watching The Real World. I'll date myself, like
okay.
That was the original.
Okay, so do you know Corey Wharton?
Yeah, I know the name. Okay.
So I work with Corey Wharton and his girlfriend. They're on Teen Mom now, and he's still like on The Challenge all the time. I work with Claire Crawley and Becca Kufrin from Bachelor, and some other people from Bachelor in Paradise, and worked with them for like 4 years. I don't know if you ever watched like Big Brother, Amazing Race, but I work with Nicole Franzel.
Okay.
And her husband Vic, and they were both on Amazing Race and Big Brother together. I work with some people from Love is Blind, and yeah, I mean, I'm constantly working with like new talent as well. It just sort of like depends, but I've been in this industry like 4.5 years now. And like a lot of them I've worked with since like day one, like since I started my company and doing outreach. Not like actually a lot of the ones that I just named, but like in general, like most of them that I've worked with since like day one. And like, it's been great. Do you know Morgan Willett?
Yep.
She was dating Johnny Bananas.
Oh, wow. Really?
I feel like you would know him because of Real World.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know them.
How do you know Morgan then?
I don't know him personally. I just know the names. I've heard these names.
Okay, so you know the name. Yeah. But she was like one of the first people that I like slid into her DMs, like when I was working at Oracle back in the day, and I'd be like, hey, like, can I help make your website? Like, can I help do anything for you? And like volunteer my time. And it sort of like got me it helped me make a lot of relationships with people, right? That like I have today.
What's the most like popular reality TV show today? Like it's truly reality TV. Like Bachelor's probably still going to be up there. But is there what's like?
Well, I feel like the biggest one recently has been like Vanderpump Rules. Like that's just been like talked about. I would say like the last year. I would say a lot of the housewives are really big. Yeah. Kardashians, of course. Of course. I mean, I do think that like Survivor and Big Brother, they have like a big viewership, but then like you have all these new Netflix shows, Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle, that all get a huge substantial following now. The Circle, like, I mean, if you're talking about followers wise, like I feel like all these Netflix shows sort of like trump everyone else.
Wow,
Although
that's
I will say that like all the Teen Mom people have like over 1 million followers too. So it's definitely, I mean, those MTV people have been watching probably since the Real World days. I mean, they're huge. I think Challenge has a huge following. When I go travel and I talk about reality shows and the people that I manage, like everyone really does watch like MTV shows. Like that's, I feel like more maybe worldly wide known, which is crazy. Netflix for sure. But
yeah, the power of Netflix. You brought that up, and I've on different topics that has come up, but it just how big it's in scale it is. With like, we were talking to someone who an actor or his agent or someone. This wasn't even on the show. This was just like a conversation. They were talking about like their show got thrown up on Netflix, and like it's been like a revival of sorts because of how just the scale and the volume of people watching.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I forget what it was. I think it was it The Challenge? There was some like MTV show or something, and like, you know, people go back and watch all the old seasons too on Netflix. So it's just sort of hit or miss. But it's crazy because there's some Netflix shows too that are just like totally not getting the viewership that they think too. So it just all depends on how much marketing dollars I feel like are behind these too.
Exactly.
You know?
All these shows. fascination with all the reality TV. I know what it was 20 years ago, but now it's, it's produced more a little bit. Is it still the same thing? Is it still, or is this like the modern soap opera? Or is everybody just there for the potential train wreck?
Probably the potential train wreck and like getting entertained week by week and being like, oh my God, my life is so much better than that.
Right.
Right? No. Or just like the fun competitions, and it's sort of like lighthearted and you don't have to really think behind the TV show. Like I know a lot of shows that like my husband will put on, or just like any sort of other shows other than reality. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like making my brain work too hard for this, and I just worked all day. So I think that sometimes it's just like fun sort of shows to watch, lighthearted, and you're not going to sit there and like cry about it or have to figure out like who murdered someone, like, so I think that like that's why it's so big. But I do agree with the fact that, I mean, I don't know about you, but it's just like how like every season of Bachelor is sort of repetitive.
It's the formula. Point, it's a formula. And I think that, we all think we want something different, but the winning formula, it's like,
Did you watch Golden Bachelor, or are you watching it?
I'll be honest. So,
Ryan, you'd probably like it.
Well, here's the thing. I've gotten busier. I haven't had as much time, and that was probably like the first thing to go for sure. But Chris Harrison left. I like Jesse's a friend. Jesse's on the board back here. Jesse Palmer. Like Jesse and I text occasionally. Like. But, it was not an issue with him, but it's almost when Chris has left, it kind of like a little bit of the heart of the show left for me or something. I don't know. That was just I
know. I mean, my husband will say the same thing, which is like so funny. Cause to me, I'm like, no, but it's all about the contestants and like, who cares who hosts it? Like that's how I feel, I guess. But I think I think in general, like it was starting to go downhill, like in the sense of just like, honestly, even Ryan, like people went on Bachelor to like get a following and stuff. And like, it's like really hard to now these days. Like you will probably not walk away with more than like 200K following, if you're lucky
as a contestant.
And, like, the people that used to win used to have like 1 million, 2 million. Like it's insane. Yeah. It really is.
How do you like when working?
It just goes to show you.
It does show you, maybe which ones have people that are on social or that have the pull or the influence to, drive more usage up. It does make you wonder, like when you're talking with brands for these influencers, how everything's always about sales. I get that. And you get that. But like it being a marketer and owning an agency, and we do some e-com, we're very good at it. We don't mind being responsible to outcomes, but not every outcome in marketing is a sale. And so I'm sure you deal with this, like the campaign, it's success or failure as if it sold more than they paid you. And it's like, I get why a brand would think that, but that's got to be a tough one to manage, I would think, from your end.
Yeah, so it's weird. So I feel like for the most part, Ryan, like I would assume more of like the agencies that actually book my talent are probably dealing more with that. But I do get it. I mean, for sure on the weekly basis, where someone will ask me like, hey, can your client post another follow-up? Like, can they post another story with their link and code again? And blah, blah, blah. And it's really hard because like, I have to set those boundaries and like protect my client. Like that's not what they were paid for, like I cannot promise. And I would say most brands and agencies know, like when they come to me, like I can't guarantee them sales. Like I'm not going to ever say that. Like someone will say, oh, can you send us people that will get 3 times investment back to us? And I'm like, honestly, like I can't promise that. Like I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like absolutely not. Like you can't come to me and say that. But what I can say is, oh, here are the people that are rebooked, or if people ask me like how can our ad do better? I'm like, okay, I always refer to like boosting. Right. And like, and just doing other things. I think that it's sort of out of the norm right now to just like do campaigns without like paid behind it in any way, or like at least like giving them the content to use on their end too, because I feel like obviously at the end of the day, they're paying our clients or they're paying talent for content. And so like, I do think that they have to use that in some of their advertising value in order to make it worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause think about this. I'll use the analogy and I want to go down this road because, you know, we have people listening to our show that might be influencers. We have brand CEOs and marketing people. So I wanted to bring this up for that very reason. And I think about this, like 25 years ago, if you hired Tom Cruise to promote your brand, but you didn't put it on a TV commercial, you just had him show up at trade shows and maybe some outdoor boards, would that be an effective use of Tom Cruise? So that's kind of like the equivalent of getting, you know, a reality TV star with 1 million. Yeah, they've got followers, but the algorithm, even for them, is going to be 1%, 2% showing their for non-paid. So you don't get the reach and frequency unless you put ad buy / commercial buy behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of it too is like, it is hard because I think that like even talent, like sometimes don't understand all this stuff too. And I'm like, these days, like they have to put like, there used to be a world and there still is, like, don't get me wrong. I definitely have to like charge more money if they're going to use their face all over their website for a year, you know, like that's still going to happen. But I also think that we're getting into a world where like you have to do that in order to use that talent, you know? So I do wonder at some point, like are sort of that pricing going to be included, you know, because like everyone needs ad access now, you know, or to be able to use that content and I'm seeing it more and more like in perpetuity where they get to use the content forever. And I was like, so against that. But I think now it's like, sometimes you're just trying to get your clients jobs too, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So
the balance on both ends, right? But
and there's so many micro creators too now, and people that are content creators and not reality stars too. Like, I think there used to be a world where it was like the only people that had a following were like reality stars and TV personas and stuff. And now there's so much competition that it's like, you have to kind of outweigh that too when you do pricing and everything that's included.
Hey, I'm getting brand deals, baby. You know, and I mean, I'm just little Ryan Alford.
but you can't. That's the crazy thing, right? Not crazy thing. Like I know, me too, and I have no fault. But it's at the end of the day, it's content, you know. Like, and I mean, it truly doesn't matter. Like, it just depends how you're selling yourself. Yep. Right.
But that's
and
the
like
thing.
What they're looking for.
And you know, I get on my.
What kind of content you do?
Mine's all marketing and personal branding, promote, like telling how people do. Because look, that's what I did. Like when I worked in the ad agency business for 16 years on some of the largest campaigns in the world, TV commercials, even people that don't watch TV would remember. Like, but no one knew who I was when I left the agency because I didn't, you know, in 2015, I was a ghost town online. And I'm like, but I recognized it. And so I've spent 6 years on the Radcast, my personal brand in the agency, and all the high tide rate has risen all ships. I mean, I got close to 200,000 followers on Instagram, and we're the #1 show, and we've got an 8-figure agency. So it all works together. And then I've got brand deals on top of that. But like you've got, and so I do a lot of counsel, coaching, and content around the ways to do that. And I think I do it a little bit different because I try to stay out of the generic waters and get hyper specific, you know, around growing your personal brand and what to do. And really the why and the how and like the levers, like, you know, shared interests, like the way with which to sort of light the match and amplify certain things. And so do that. And then we're building the Radcast into a media network. So we're going to have we have shows that are falling underneath our show. And again, back to the high tide raising all ships, you know, like even if they're totally different genres and topics and things like that. So Like we work with, you mentioned Amazing Race, Caroline Hobby. We work with her show, Be Real. She was on, it's been a while. She was a long time ago. She's on 2 years, I think. Her husband's lead singer. They live in Nashville of 1,000 Horses, which is really a big country band. But yeah. And so do a lot around those things. And then, that's what, but makes, and I think, if you're listening, like I actually, it'll be registered soon. I filed it a couple years ago and just been lazy with getting it through the thing, but it pays to be known. I've trademarked that line. It's simple, but it's true.
It pays to be known.
Yeah. I mean, that's what,
or just to be like badass in the niche that you actually like focus in, too. And be well known, because I feel like there's so many.
Yeah. There's always more to it than just the known, but typically you're not known if you're not worthy of being known.
You have to be a hard worker. Okay. You can't, I mean, honestly, even Ryan, like I talked all the time. I'm like, these people that get off reality TV and stuff, I mean, you can't just expect to get paid truly. Like in this instance, like paid to be known. Like you can't, like at this point, there's so much competition. Like you have to be consistent with your content. You have to start like working hard and like becoming someone online that's different than what people saw on TV,
Exactly.
So you have to like kind of transfer that persona, right? And like do that stuff. So
talking with Courtney, Bagby, Lou Pillin, talking about all things, really just they were having a marketing and psychology discussion a little bit, but talking branding and influencers and of course reality TV. Do you work with non-reality TV people?
I do. Yeah. I have some foodies, some YouTubers, some singers, variety actors.
Yeah. Do you think
anyone with a following
every like article I read, like I think most of the big brands, I mean, they know that this is the path, like, the TV viewership is down, like all these things, like that influencer marketing is in the playbook. But are you surprised or not surprised? Like maybe the number of brands that you talk with, like how proficient they are or aren't in this, or has it gotten pretty good? Like they're aware, they're on point.
Yeah, I feel like the people that I talk to these days, I would say like at least 90% plus is like very well versed in like how it all works. And like some people will like ask me like, oh, how does it work? I have $1,000. How many influencers can I get? And I'm like, good luck. Like, I don't know where you start in that capacity.
Right.
But I would say like, I mean, for sure, like there's so many talent agencies now. There's so many booking agencies. Like there's so many people that are doing what we're doing now. And like, I mean, I think I got into it like right when it all started, sort of like, and it was really becoming a thing. A little bit late, but like still in it. But it is crazy because I feel like, I went to a panel recently and they were like, influencer marketing is always part of the media plan now. And it wasn't a couple years ago, it wasn't, but now it's every single brand. If you don't have influencer marketing or any influencer strategy in there, whether it's gifting or whatever it is, like you're not gonna, like, how are you gonna make it kind of thing,
Yep.
So I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting. And it is its own line item. Like I could see it on the pie graph, like print, TV. Like back in the day, I'm amazed myself again. Like there were so few things to worry about. Okay, what's our TV campaign? What's our print? What's our radio? What's our out of home? Yeah, but now it's like, okay, Instagram, TikTok. What do we have on Facebook? What about Snapchat? What about YouTube? Like it's like, and that's maybe a third of it. Like
gifting, events, like it's just so much. And like you wonder, like it's like so chaotic. I feel like just because it's like, even for me, like, Ryan, this is a good example. And I feel like even listeners, like people will ask me like, oh, can you get podcast sponsorships like for your clients? And typically it's such a different team, that does podcast sponsorships versus social media partnerships. So it's just so crazy because it's like every little thing that you can think of, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, like it's all a different person. It's all like a whole team in these agencies, but it's like, how do you find that person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was about to say, we're going to have to put our heads, we're going to have to offline put our heads together, because what we deal with in that same thing is like, okay, I have a personal brand and I have the podcast, then the combination of those things is huge, but there is disconnect usually with trying to get that, because they don't think about it. Like we package it, because I'm an agency and I think about these things like the value, where they could get the most bang for the buck. I'm like, you want me talking about the product, you want me talking about it on the show, and you want it on my social media. Like the power of all of that is way more than just one of them. And then it's like they sort of get that, but it's usually getting to the person that can connect those dots.
Well, and I think it is such like it almost isn't a package. I would say for most of the brands, it is so separate, you know? And like, even when I say like, oh, my client did so well for you, like for this brand, do you want to book our on the podcast? It's almost like, I don't even like, they don't even know who it is, you know, that like books the agency, the books the podcast sponsorship, whether it's like an agency or whatever it is. Right. And then same with vice versa. If I'm doing a podcast sponsorship, it's like, well, who's booking the social media posts, you know? And so it is so crazy because it is just totally a different line item, right, of the media plan.
What's the personalities of influencers that you work with, less or more drama than you'd expect?
It depends who it is. I think I don't know. It's so weird because I feel like I work with reality TV stars. So like, what do I expect? Like we're going to get a little dramatic.
That's why they're on TV, right?
Yeah. So it's like, I can't be like totally surprised, but I will say like Ryan, over the years, like I've had to really set my boundaries and like figure out and like work with people that like I'm on the same team as, you know, and like versus like them sort of like maybe talking back to me or whatever. Like I really do have to set those boundaries and like make it clear that like we're in this together, and like I'm not gonna like overly like there's just times where it's like, you know, influencers in general, and I'm not like it's just in general, like I think even humans, right? Like we're sort of like expect that we're the best person ever, and that like they're so lucky to work with us as a creator, and like, no, I'm not gonna do that, and they fight back and all this stuff, and it's like it makes me like not necessarily want to work with them, because I feel like at the end of the day, like they're getting hired for a job, and like it has to be a two-way street, you know, like we have to make everyone happy. So I feel like I don't even know how I went with that, but like there are so many people that are like dramatic or like asking all these questions and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get this job done. Like what is going on? Like, I don't need this attitude right now. Like I'm already stressed about X, Y, and Z, you know? So yeah. Let me know if you have do you have any tips for that?
Yeah. It's called wine.
What'd you say?
Wine or vacay. I have a plant-based product company that I own. It's, plant-based solutions to stress and anxiety. So,
oh, I love that.
No,
but that's the thing is like a client should not, I feel very strongly right now. Like I own my own business. You own your own business. Like we should not have to deal with people that are like stressing us out at the end of the day. Like we should be enjoying, like, I do feel like that. Like we started a business for a reason. Like we want to be able to control who we're working with, you know, and like work with good people. So I think it's always like kind of crazy when like I'm so stressed out over someone or something.
And now I'm going to give you the meta of all meta moments. You know, you talk about stress and what happens with dealing with these people. It gives me wrinkles, but you know how I get rid of my wrinkles? Caldera Lab, premium plant-based and original men's premium skincare delivered right to your house, and the official skincare provider of Ryan Alford and the Radcast. Courtney, I'm 46. I get all the help I can get. So Caldera Lab's who I go to. Use Rad Ryan for code 20% off at calderalab.com. Tell them I sent you. There you go. You can appreciate that.
I do. I really loved that.
If there's anyone that I'd ever have on the show that couldn't get mad at a little ad read, it'd have to be you. I mean, like this is the profession.
No, I'm like, all right, where are they? Come on, Ryan, what's next one? Which one should I read?
We could have given you one, We'll think about that for part 2.
Yeah, I'm in.
What do you do when you're not working? What's your interest?
You mean other than watch reality TV?
Yeah, of course. You have a vested interest now.
Working, scrolling Instagram, finding other ads. No, truly, like I feel like that is sort of what I like to do on my free time is like watch TV and honestly like watch more TVs of like where I don't have clients on because then I don't have to like think about working or managing people. But no, like I love walking my dog, hanging out with my husband, going to the coffee shops. But yeah, I feel like I never really have any like hobbies. Like I like taking, sometimes I take photos for my clients. I'm a photographer on the side. No, I'm just kidding.
I really
do it all over here.
You have to be hybrid today's world. Like you got to be run and gun. I mean, there ain't no time. I mean, whether it's money or not, it's more time and like, okay, I got to get this shit done. Like you got to be, nimble. That's the key to the game in marketing today. It's like real time marketing and you got to move quickly. So if you promise that brand a post or an image, damn it, if you got to go take it, go take it.
Oh, I will. I'm like, well, sometimes I'll even be like, okay, can you like send me the product so I can like go take one? Like I'll go take a photo for you. Or like a video frame or something these days. You just got to make it happen.
Exactly.
I'm constantly teaching my team that too. I'm like, okay, if we can't get them the product, like, can we go get it real quick? Like, and take a video for them, So
well, if someone's listening and maybe they're a quasi influencer wanting to get in this game, any tips, any recommendations for people that are wanting to work with brands or wanting to get down this game? Like what's the any golden rules?
Secret sauce? No.
Yeah.
No, look, like my thing is like if you want to be a creator and you want to get in this space, like you need to be consistently like putting out content daily, every other day. I think that like people cannot expect to like want to be a creator or an influencer because like how are you influencing someone if you post like once a month? Sort of thing. So I think that that's always like my number one thing is like figure out your like niche that you want to post and like things that you actually like to do that you're going to be passionate about creating content around and like post consistently.
There you go. If you want them to consider you as someone that's going to post about them, you need to be someone that's already showing up and doing it is rule number
100%.
1.
100%.
Courtney, where can everybody keep up with you and everything you got going on and check out Little Red Management?
Yeah, well, follow our Instagram page. We like always post the campaigns that we're doing and some social media tips for influencers and brands sometimes. That's Little Red and then MGMT on Instagram. And then if you want to find me on Instagram, I'm Courtney Bagby, Bagby for now until I change my last name officially. But also if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Courtney@littleredmanagement.com. MGMT.com, I should say.
There you go. We'll have all that in the show notes too. Courtney, it's been fun. Enjoyed it a lot. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
And if you want to learn from me directly, join my newsletter, ryanalford.com/newsletter. Sign up. I give daily advice on marketing, personal branding, podcasting, life. Give that a shout. Join that. It's free. It's daily. Just like this show, give away our best advice. Hey guys, you know where to find us, theradcast.com. Search for Courtney Bagby. You'll find all the highlight clips from today, and we'll have all her links and our links there in the show notes. Do us a favor, give us a review. Good, bad, or indifferent. We got to get that feedback, and we appreciate it. You know where to find me, at Ryan Alford. Verified before you could buy it. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.
To listen or watch full episodes, visit us on the web at theradcast.com or follow us on social media at our Instagram account, the.rad.cast, or at Ryan Alford. Stay radical.